Hey guys, my name is Jason with S&J Forest Products, and my cedar business has been really taking off and I'm running out of wood. So in today's video, I wanted to go out on our 50 acres here and get some more wood, bring it to the landing, and then hopefully get it trucked up to my other shop where we can get it cut up and sold. We're going to be taking out this cedar here behind me. You can take a look up there. The top's kind of screwed up. But a couple years ago, this property was logged, and it looks like they came in with a mechanical feller buncher or something, and they got halfway through this tree with this cut, and they didn't want to take the tree, or it was lunchtime or whatever, so they never finished taking this tree out. It's still green, it's still alive, but that thing's over halfway through the butt of it, and it's a goner. It's either going to blow over and split, and it's going to just split right up the tree, and it's going to be a waste of wood, or it's going to rot out from the inside or whatever. So I'm going to take this one out, and we'll get it on the ground and limbed up, and we can kind of see how it goes. All right, we'll take a look here. I got my undercut in, and I'm using this steel 500i with a 36-inch bar, and that really helps on some of these cedars with this big butt swell on them. But we got the undercut in, looks pretty good. We're gonna drop it out here in the clearing there. So let me reset the camera here, put the back cut in, and drop this thing. Okay, now if I did this right, this thing should fall straight out from the camera. Ooh, see, that was kind of a nasty one, because that machine cut way past my holding wood and into my undercut, and so I didn't have any holding wood on this side, and it got into that hemlock a little bit, but that tree's fine. Cedar's on the ground. Looks like there might be a little bit of rot in the butt. We'll get her limbed up here and see what we got. Got her limbed up, more or less. The top had broke out years ago, and there's a bunch of school marms up there. We'll go take a look at those in a second, but there's a little bit of butt rot down here. And normally, if I was going to send these off to the sawmill, commercial mill, I'd just send it and take a little deduction there. But since I'm going to take this up and have this thing milled into dimensional lumber, and after doing some milling myself with the chainsaw mill, I've really come to appreciate that butt rot's a real pain in the butt. No pun intended there. But there's still a lot of good wood around the rind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 6.5 feet, maybe 8 feet, and 8.5 feet bucket so that I can come back and maybe get something good out of this log. But the 20-footer or so that I'm going to send up to my mill won't have any butt rot in it, and I can pick away at this with my chainsaw mill. We're all bucked. I got an 8 out of the butt with a little bit of rot that we'll use with the chainsaw mill and get something out of. And I've got 2 16s there. So we'll back the skidder up, yard them to the landing. We'll scale them, see how much wood we got here, and hopefully go find some more. trees. All right, guys, let's scale these logs. This here is the small end of this one. I burned 2 inches, 1 foot 4 inches. So that one's 16 inches. (22 minus 2 is 20 inches there. So I've got 16, 20, and I measured the small end of this one. It was 9. So let's get our scaling chart out and see how much board feet we got. All right, so here's our scaling chart. I'll show you an example here on on one log. Length is 16 feet. Top diameter is 16 inches. So that one has 160 board feet in it. And I've done the other two, and this whole tree had 340 board feet in it the way we bucked it. And so 340 board feet times $1,000 a thousand is $340. So that's not too bad for our one tree here. But now we'll go out and we'll find some more. Here's our logs for the day. Kind of a mixed bag there. Some of them were green in here, leaners and stuff I took out. And some I kind of salvaged from what was laying around, but the wood's still real good in those. We got our logs up to our sawmill, and we had an order for a big pergola, outdoor pergola thing. And so we got it all cut up here behind me on the trailer. And now my goal is to get it cut down to size, trimmed up a little bit, and fill his order and get it to him. So on this part of the video, I wanted to go over how I kind of true up my boards, get them cut down to size, and get them stacked for the customer. Here's a little bit of a closer look at some of our stuff. Again, this is all cedar. And this customer wanted a bunch of 2x6s and some 6x6 posts here. And this is all rough cut with a bandsaw. And sorry I didn't get it on video this time. I'll take some more videos coming up of the bandsaw working. But it's a little bit rough, but I mean, it's actually pretty darn good finish. And the customer liked this rough finish. He's going to put some stain on it and have his outdoor thing going on. So we'll get this trimmed down. Some of these 6x6s are 16 feet. And the customer only ordered 10 feet. So I got to trim off some of them down to 10 foot. And but even 6 feet of 6x6 beam like that is still worth quite a bit. And a lot of people make mantles and stuff out of them. So let me show you how I get these trimmed down and measured up. And we'll do a little bit of cutting. So when you rough cut lumber on a saw, you get a lot of longer boards that have some good wood in them. And then this is obviously that live edge rind. And so I need to cut a lot of these 2x6s down into 8-foot sections. And there's 3 here that are 16. This one's got a little bit of junk in the end, so I probably won't be able to get 2 out of those. But this one and this one I'll just cut in half. This one I'll cut this off the edge or off this end and get an 8-footer. And I'll have an 8-footer out of here for the customer and probably a 6 left over here. But I'm just going to use a skill saw and a straight edge and mark the edges here and cut them down to size. I found that working with my sawmill guy, that he much prefers to cut long pieces because it's a lot less work for him and it keeps my cost down. And then so I've cut a bunch of 16 2x6s that I'm going to cut down to 8, which is what the customer wanted. And so it's a real simple thing here. I just take my square and a pen. I always leave a little bit of trim on there, like maybe 1 inch to 2 inches. Now I've got my straight line. I'll just hang this off the sawhorses and I'll just trim it off with the skill saw. And here's our nice 8-foot board, a little bit of junk there that we'll just throw in the burn pile. There's a little bit here on the edge where the bark was, but a lot of times, I think these are for planter boxes, so that'll just go on the inside. So a little bit of defect there on the edge is okay, but you know, obviously something like that is just, it's not going to be worth anything with the bark and the junk on the back. So when I cut the logs, like on a 16-foot log, I'll leave about 6 or 8 inches of trim. And that way, I can cut off if any of the ends get damaged or cracked, or if, you know, there's a little knot there that I'm going to take off. But you always leave a little bit of trim on there, just so you don't cut a 16-inch log or a 16-foot log and it ends up being 15 inches or 15 feet 9 inches, and then, you know, you can't get your 2 8-footers out of it. So I always leave a little bit extra, and we got to cut it off the end, but out of that 16-foot board, we're going to get 2 nice 8-footers out of. We're moving on to these 6x6 beams now, and I don't have a saw big enough to cut those, so I'm gonna have to use my chainsaw. And probably against my better judgment, I'm gonna try and cut them right in the ground. I got a couple boards there. I'm gonna cut right through here somewhere. Where's my mark? Right there. So I'll get those boards kind of right underneath where I'm gonna cut. I got this end blocked up with some scrap. And I left probably 2 or 3 inches of trim there, so it'll be a 10-foot 2 board or beam. Well, that wasn't too bad, actually. Just went real slow. Got a pretty nice straight cut there, I think. And yeah, so now we got our 10-footer here for the customer. I've got another 6-foot plus here for mantelpiece or some extra wood in the future. And yeah, so I got another 16-footer here I got to cut down to 10, and then 2 12s I got to cut down to 10. Here's all the dimensional cedar for this guy's pergola. He's got his posts over there on the right, a bunch of 2x6s here, and then some of these 1.5 by 3s, I guess, is what he needed. And so it all came out really good. And there's a little bit more here in the back of the truck for another order for a lady. A bunch of 2x6s and some 1xs. So a lot of you guys are probably thinking, you know, how could this possibly be worth it? He's screwing around with moving by hand with a chainsaw and a circular saw and truing stuff up, and it just can't be worth it. It's taking too much time. To get all this stuff behind me trued up and the stuff in the truck as well took about an hour and a half, and, you know, 2 or 3 hours in the woods, getting it cut and skidded and bucked and stuff like that. So altogether, I probably have 5, 6, 7 hours in it. And then I got it to the sawmill. He cut it up for me and got it back here. So, I mean, altogether, I don't have 10 hours of labor into this stuff. And the sawmill guy, it was a couple $100 to cut all this stuff up. And there's over $2,000 worth of cedar here in the truck. So that all works out pretty good. And yes, there's lots of improvements to be made, and I hope to do those. And actually, I'm, you know, that reminds me, I'm looking for suggestions from you guys. I mean, how can I improve this process? What tools do you think I need? And how do I make this go faster and easier on myself? Because if this works out and I get a lot more customers, I'm going to end up, you know, doing this and making some money at it. So let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.